Today I'm going to talk about the Cartesian plane. What is a Cartesian plane? Well, if you guessed that it had anything to do with an airplane, guess again. Before I tell you anything more about the Cartesian plane, I want to remind you about the graphs that you've seen before. Notice that there is this x-axis, and they've even labeled x over here, and the y-axis, and again they've labeled y over here. And even though they're both numbered the same in this case, 0 through 10, there is a specific order, and the x-axis always comes first when we're naming it. I like to remember that x comes before y in the alphabet, so when I write my coordinates, x will come first. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at some coordinates. In this case, I'm going to find 3, 2. So I'm going to come over 1, 2, 3, because x comes first, and then up 1, 2. And so my point will be right there at 3, 2. Notice that the numbers, again, this is the x and this is the y, are separated with a comma, and they're always inside a parentheses. Let's try one ourselves. I'm going to give you the coordinates of 7, 5, and I'd like you to go ahead and hit pause and point to where 7, 5 is on this quadrant of the coordinate plane. Did you point to right here? I came over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try a few more. I'm going to write the coordinates here, and then I'd like you to go ahead and point. I'll put it on the grid, but I'd like you to try and do it before I do. Go ahead and find 6, 8. Did you find it here? 6, 5, 6, 7, and 8. What about this one? 9, 2. Hit pause and see if you can find that. Did you find 9, 2 right here? Let's try another one. 8, 1. Hit pause and point to 8, 1. Did you find it here? Here's our last one for now. 3, 3. Does that trick you? Go ahead and try and find it. I bet it didn't. You came over 3 and up 3 and found it right there, next to 3, 2. Now let's take a look at the Cartesian plane. If you'll notice, this part right here in this section looks exactly like what you're already used to using. There's the x-axis and the y-axis, and it's counting 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. What's different is that there are 3 other parts to this, so there are a total of 4 quadrants on this Cartesian plane. I said there were 4 quadrants. Take a look at this. Again, this is the section that you're already used to, and it's called quadrant 1. You'll notice that there is a positive number and a positive number, like 3, 2. Right here in the center, they call it the origin, is where 0 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis are. Well, it makes sense that if I'm at 0 here and I want to follow this direction on the line, because notice that it's not actually 2 rays like we might have thought, that it's actually 2 lines that continue on forever. If I'm at 0 and I want to go this direction on the line, I'm going to go negative numbers. There's no difference here except that the negative tells me sort of I'm counting backwards. We don't need to know anything else about negative numbers today, except that we're going to consider it as counting backwards on the x-axis and counting backwards on the y-axis. But again, notice that here in quadrant 1, which is what you're used to, it's all positive numbers. Did you notice that the other 3 quadrants, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4, all use negative numbers as one of their 2 coordinates? I'm going to write some coordinates here, and I'd like you to again point on the screen where you think that point might be. Let's go with 7, 3. So in this case, just like always, we're going to come over 7, and we're going to go up 3. And so in this case, our point will go right here. Are you ready for a trickier one? I'm going to write the coordinates, and then I'd like you to hit pause and see if, again, you can point to it on the screen. See if you could find this number. Remember, the first number is the x-axis in both cases, and the second number is the y-axis. So, where do you think that's going to be? Try it yourself. Did you notice that this was a negative 2, and I'm on the x-axis, so I'm going to come over 1, 2 spots, and now am I going to go up or down? Let's think about it. This is a positive number, so I'm going to go up 3 spots, and my point will be right here on the Cartesian plane. Let's try another one. If I did negative 4 and negative 6, where would that be on the Cartesian plane? You try to find it first. If my first number is negative and it's on the x-axis, I'm going to come over to the negative 4. My second number is also negative on the y-axis, so how am I going to get there? I'm going to come over negative 4 and down negative 6 to get to that point. Let's try a couple more. If I have a positive x-axis and a negative y-axis, where would that point go? See if you can find it when you hit pause. Here again, the x-axis is the first number, so I'm going to find that 4, and I know on the y-axis that I'm going to be doing a negative number. So I'm going to come down here to negative 9. So now I just need to put my point at 4, negative 9. Let's try this one. Did you find 6 on the x-axis and negative 2 on the y-axis? So right here is going to be my point. Good job. To do your final activity, you'll need to go back to 24/7 and print the graph paper that says it's the Cartesian plane. Please do that right now if you haven't already done it. Now what I'm going to do is write down coordinates that I would like you to plot and put on your Cartesian plane. Go ahead and copy these points down somewhere on the paper or on the back of the paper, and then plot them on your paper that you're going to bring in tomorrow with your Cartesian plane. So go ahead and copy these down and then plot them and bring that in. I can't wait to see you tomorrow.